Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Los Alamos. I am Anita Barela, and I use the pronouns she and her. I am today's worship associate. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your image of the holy, wherever you are in your life's journey, you are welcome here. If this is your first time with us, we'd love to get to know you. Please sign our guest sign-in book in the foyer. You can also speak with our greeter, Mike McNaughton, or Reverend Tina for more information about our church. To learn more about our spiritual enrichment programs for all ages, please feel free to talk to Elizabeth Portillos, our lifespan spiritual enrichment assistant and teacher. For kids here in our service, we have our activity table up front. We ask that kids use your whisper voice to talk at this table. Kids can also stay seated with their parents. Parents and kids can also sit in our library room to hear the service. We also have a nursery for young kiddos, 0 to 3 years old. Sarah Hamoud is our nursery coordinator and can check in your younger kiddos. After the time for all ages, kids are also invited to leave to go to their World Blessings class with Elizabeth Portillos in the kitchen in Fellowship Hall. Parents will need to sign out their kids from the class after the service. We have our candles of community over here on the right and in the back of the room. You're invited to come up during the first hymn or now or any time before the prayer time to light a candle. And if you would also like to, you are welcome to write your joy or sorrow in the book to be read aloud during our prayer time. Please go ahead and silence your cell phones this morning as we begin our worship together. You're now invited to greet your neighbor. You're encouraged to greet someone you might not know or recognize and can also say hi and thank you to the musician or the audio-visual tech in the sound booth behind us. If you would rather us just wave and not shake hands, that is okay too. I will call us back with a chime.
Greet your neighbors. Hello.
Georgia now? Church announcements can be read weekly through your email, and they can be found on our website, our monthly printed flyers, and on our social media pages. Today, we are highlighting a few announcements. After the service today, you're invited to join us in the Fellowship Hall for our church committee fair. All ages are invited to join. The spiritual enrichment table will host comic drawing with Paul Zymek. Also today at 1 p.m. after the committee fair, you're invited to stay for a compassion meditation practice led by John Ambrosiano, who leads our weekly Buddhist meditation here at the church. Join Reverend Tina and others in the meditation room down the hall from 1 to 2 to deepen our practice of compassion together. Next Saturday, October 11th, from 1 to 2:30 p.m., our church is hosting a free suicide prevention training. This training will be facilitated by Christine Koblenz. This training is for adults and teens. Teens can attend with a parent, guardian, or member. We need folks to RSVP for this event to Christine Koblenz at her email on the screen, koblenz.christine@gmail. Also this Saturday at 2:45 to 8 p.m., teens are welcome to join a church carpool down to Espanola Skate Jam to end dating violence. Our church van will leave at 2:45 p.m. from the parking lot. Please RSVP to Terra Hite. If your youth would like to go, so you can fill out a permission slip, contact Terra. Terra at uulosalamos.org.
So this is our call to worship time, and I am the Reverend Tina DeYoe, and I use she, her pronouns, and I am the minister here. So let us come together today as a community as we pause and worship together. Worship creates connections within, among, and beyond us, calling us to live with wisdom and compassion, calling us to be our better selves. And today starts the month of October and our theme of compassion. So our worship service today on compassion and nonviolence was inspired by our worship team at our worship retreat when we were brainstorming worship theme ideas. And it comes also because on October 2nd was the anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi's birthday. Gandhi practiced compassion and love and put his love in action through acts of nonviolent resistance. We also know that our Jewish siblings are celebrating the High Holy Days with Yom Kippur celebrated last week and Sukkot being celebrated this coming week. We send compassion and love to all our Jewish siblings during these sacred celebrations. And also this coming Tuesday, October 7th, is the 2-year anniversary of the Hamas attack and the beginning of the Gaza genocide. We ask that compassion and love are sent to all people in Israel, the West Bank, and Gaza. We send our prayer to all who live in the region to be free from suffering and live in peace. And let us not forget that here in our region, Nambe Pueblo just celebrated their annual feast day yesterday. And this month celebrates Hispanic heritage. And that's what the kiddos are going to go learn about after the time for all ages as well. So I'm grateful for the diversity living here in northern New Mexico and many cultural celebrations that happen around this time of year. Our diverse backgrounds lead us to be more compassionate humans. So now let us light our chalice flame, the symbol of our faith. And Leo's going to come up and light our chalice. Thank you, Leo. And Anita's going to give us our chalice lighting words.
We light this chalice in the spirit of compassion by Reverend Michelle Collins. Some days the world's pain floods through us like water through a broken dam. Every headline, every cry of distress, becoming our own, we come here thirsty for the wisdom, to care without drowning, to love without losing ourselves in the undertow of other sorrow. Come, let us seek together the steady foundation from which true compassion flows. Good morning. My name is Anita. My Buddhist name is Sekishin Barela. By avocation, I facilitate a weekly grief group through Golden Willow Retreat Center in Taos. And I'm an ordained Buddhist chaplain affiliated with Upaya Zen Center. The path I follow is Mahayana Buddhism, which draws deeply on the Heart Sutra. At Upaya, we place a special emphasis on what's called socially engaged Buddhism, bringing Buddhist principles into the world to meet real challenges with compassion, courage, and responsibility. That means we're not just sitting on the cushion. We use our practice daily as we live and work in our communities, where we act for the benefit of all beings, meaning we're encouraged to be involved as citizens, to participate in the political process, to vote, and to bring our values into the decisions we make about justice, nonviolence, and compassion. Roshi Joan Halifax, the abbot of Upaya, has shown this through her actions. She participated in civil disobedience and was arrested in 2019 as part of a climate action protest called Fire Drill Fridays. So she went every Friday to DC and got arrested a couple times. When Tina and I got together to talk about this Sunday, she started talking about Gandhi and MLK. I didn't quite get where she was headed. I asked, "What is the topic for this Sunday again?" "Compassion," she said. We both laughed. I was still confused. She wanted to talk about compassion and nonviolence. Oh, I get it. But it totally got me thinking about how we think of the same subject in different ways. I told her about the podcast I was listening to last year. It was by Dan Harris, the former news anchor, and now he's a Buddhist practitioner and a teacher. In 2023, he started a series called What Makes Us Really Happy. He interviewed many different Buddhist teachers and the Dalai Lama and asked them the question, what makes us happy? In those conversations, the people he interviewed repeatedly returned to love, compassion, and altruistic thinking. When we think and act for the sake of others, we discover our inner peace. And that peace ripples through us into all those around us. Early in the series, Dan Harris attended the Compassion Leadership Summit, which explored how compassion can heal individuals, teams, and organizations. At the summit, the Dalai Lama spoke with young activists from around the world, many of whom expressed feelings of desperation and powerlessness in what they described as a cold and cutthroat world. A sense of desperation permeated the conference. The activists asked, how do we get rid of the feeling of powerlessness we are feeling? Several asked and wondered if they did enough, or even if what they did was even mattered. One activist voiced frustration that compassion alone seems powerless in the face of authoritarian regimes, such as China's control over Tibet, and contended that compassion feels outdated in a modern world dominated by messages that divide and actions that cause fear. The activist suggested to the Dalai Lama that his call for compassion might be naive. In response, the Dalai Lama offered a consistent message to every concern. We are one. We must love each other. He said that again and again to each question all the concerned questioners were giving. And that message frustrated them. They asked, isn't that too simple? Isn't there more to it than those words, we are one? The Dalai Lama often reminds us that humans are social animals. We need one another to survive and thrive. Our success as apex species has been achieved through collaboration, connection, and communication. Yet modern life emphasizes individual achievement, which actually erodes connection, collaboration, and communication. The Dalai Lama's teachings stress recognizing our shared humanity, even with those we see as enemies. The Dalai Lama was pressed by activists about how to live this principle in practice. When asked, tell me how to do this, tell me what to do, how can we make changes? We need answers. He wanted a concrete solution. The activist then quoted Dr. Martin Luther King, power without love is reckless and abusive, while love without power is sentimental and anemic. He argued that real change, whether against the Taliban or oppressive governments, require tangible power, not just words of compassion. Still, the Dalai Lama returned to his message. In spite of the harshness of reality, we are one human family, and compassion is not an option. It's essential. We are one. The next part of the series, the next day, Dan Harris interviewed Rosie Joan Halifax. whether the Dalai Lama's answers were overly simplistic, or maybe is it a sign that he's getting old? She disagreed. She believed the message was deeply complex but subtle, so subtle we may have missed it. She emphasized that these were precisely the questions activists around the world are asking, and they're struggling with it. The Dalai Lama's response was not simplistic, but profoundly grounded in his practice. If we remember we are one, what I do to you hurts me, and what you do to me hurts you. Halifax explained that the Dalai Lama's daily discipline and meditation and altruism cultivates that inner peace and strength, which he meets the world with fearlessness because of that. The practice of understanding who we are and where we stand ultimately produces an unshakable rock of steadiness. We are one. Developing a sense of generosity and compassion even towards those who are difficult or hostile, we might gain the resilience needed to find the inner strength necessary. Martin Luther King said, "Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. We must not seek to defeat or humiliate the enemy, but to win his friendship and understanding."
So to reiterate the quote that Anita gave to us from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he stated, "Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend." Now think about the emotions that come up when you think of your enemies: anger, fear. How do those emotions make you feel? Are you clenching up? Are you pushing something away? Are you making a fist? So I want you to all take your hand now and make a fist if you would like. When we are angry or fearful, we want to use our fists. But instead, what I'm going to ask you to do now is think about the emotions of love, joy, and compassion. Now take your fist and put it on your heart. Now open your hand up from your fist and into your palm and have your palm on your heart and breathe. Breathe in peace, breathe out love. You can use that practice for yourself when you're feeling those emotions. I encourage you to do so. So what if every time you start feeling angry or fearful, you take your hand as a fist and place it on your heart and breathe? You could even repeat the line from the Dalai Lama that we heard Anita say, "We are one. We must love each other." This is a simple practice you can take with you today as we are all here together deepening our practices of compassion and nonviolence. Compassion literally means to suffer with. Compassion means that we actually need to sit with people in their suffering. And this is what I did when I was working as a chaplain in a Trauma 1 hospital in Knoxville, Tennessee. My whole job as a chaplain was to be present with people in their pain. And this is what Anita does here in town with our grief group that she helps lead, and as a chaplain. This is also what I do in my pastoral care visits with people, and therapists and social workers do this work, and many others. I love this quote about compassion by Rabbi Esther Adler. "There is a hierarchy of responses when we encounter suffering. Pity says, 'I see your pain.' Sympathy says, 'I understand your pain.' Empathy says, 'I feel your pain.' Compassion says, 'I am with you in your pain and I will help.'" Whether it is being with your own pain or another person's pain, compassion teaches us to be present with pain and suffering and become aware of it. If we remember that, we are one and we must love each other, as the Dalai Lama says, compassion, love, and nonviolence should be easy, right? So why does being compassionate get so complicated? Because we are human, we are fallible and non-perfect beings. Also because we allow our fear and anger to push us away from one another and categorize people as us and them. Compassion and love are actually our true nature as humans. As Anita and the Dalai Lama remind us, we humans need each other to survive. Our species would not have evolved to where we are now if it hadn't been for love and compassion. From the early stages of human evolution, we had to learn how to build communities together and protect one another, and we had to learn compassion to survive. We humans are compassionate, perfectly imperfect beings. All humans want love, joy, and to be free from suffering. Remembering that we are one is the key to loving each other. We must also remember the truth that we are not separate, but we are one. All humans are imperfect and fallible. We will mess up. Starting from this truth is the key as we deepen our practice of compassion. We are all one. Everything we do affects one another. I will mess up, and I need grace and forgiveness. Even our moral exemplars of love, compassion, and nonviolence are human and have made mistakes. Having compassion for ourselves and people when we all make mistakes is also the work of love. It is easy to have compassion for people we love and to work towards justice to topple oppressive systems. But how do we do the work of compassion and love interpersonally and without violence? The work is simple. We need to love each other, and we need to love our enemies. I'm not saying we need to accept harm and abandon our boundaries, but what I am saying is that for my enemies, I can distance myself from that harm and oppression and still understand that their fear, anger, pain, and suffering is connected to my fear, anger, pain, and suffering. Our compassion practices are connected to how we respond to others' pain, anger, and fear. Reminding ourselves what the Dalai Lama kept repeating to activists working toward justice, we are one, and we must love each other. I have to realize that if I hate, that hate permeates out. But if I love, that love permeates out. Separateness and perfection are ideas that are harmful to us as humans. And the satyagraha practice, the philosophy of nonviolence that Gandhi taught, actually means truth force. Seeking justice against evil and oppression, using the truth force of love and compassion instead of violence, is the work before all of us. But how can I be compassionate towards someone who has no compassion for immigrant children, or no compassion for people who are LGBTQ+, or no compassion for women's bodily autonomy, or for people who sow the seeds of hate and division? I can't love them. I can't be compassionate towards them. Yes, you can. If you remember that we are one, and that anything you do affects another, You can practice compassion towards your enemies because life is cyclical, and anything you practice towards someone else is what you are practicing toward yourself and those who you love and want to protect. More hate breeds more hate. So what do? We practice cultivating compassion. We're doing that here today. And one of the ways that we're going to be doing this after the message is the practice of the meta prayer, which we will be doing. So you can hope for your enemy's happiness and to be free from suffering. You can hope for their peace. If you do this, not only will you be transformed, but you will also be transforming the world around you. Because by doing this meta practice towards our enemies, which is what the practice calls for, we remember that we are indeed one, and anything we put out in the world, we will see reflected. I can definitely wrap my head around wanting the suffering and pain of innocent people in this world to end. I can wrap my head around that for sure. But do I really want the suffering of my enemies to end? This is the question that has been coming up for me these past few months and this year. When people are sowing the seeds of hate and violence, do I wish for them suffering, hate, and violence? Throughout this past year, I might have made some nervous jokes and comments to people about blood clots winning. And while this is a fear response, right? It's nervous laughter. I am indeed fearful right now about the state of our world, and my response has been nervous jokes and righteous rage. My fear and rage have been clouding my own truth of compassion, love, and joy. But really, I need to shift my thinking to rooting for love to win, compassion to win, and nonviolence to win. The weight of the world is a lot some days. Yet it is our work, my work too, to cultivate compassion, love, and joy as much as I can, and to remember that we are one. So I wonder how much internal work with compassion it took for those students and young adults to participate in the nonviolent lunch counter sit-ins. The training those folks had to go through with their peers, empowering them to do the work of nonviolent resistance, must have been intense. Could you imagine sitting at a lunch counter being called names and having food thrown at you without reacting in a violent way? Whew. Another nonviolent teacher and activist, Dr. Cornel West, said, "Justice is what love looks like in public." Justice work, love, compassion, and nonviolence are all linked. In order to do justice work out in the world, we need to be grounded in our practices of compassion centered in love. We need to have a solid grounding and foundation in love, otherwise we will burn out. We have to work for justice in the world from our center, our core, our center of love. This photo is compassionate, nonviolent resistance. This photo is solidarity, justice, and love in public. This photo was taken on August 12th, 2017, at a counter-protest to the Unite the Right rally of Nazi sympathizers and white supremacists in Charlottesville, Virginia. One person marching in this nonviolent protest died when a white supremacist drove their car towards the crowd. Nonviolence and compassion work isn't always free of other people's fear and anger. But when we remain grounded in compassion, love, and nonviolence, these three together create the collective power needed to topple oppressive regimes. And we have to do it in solidarity together. We have to realize we are all one. You can see some UU ministers, Cornel West is there, Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, other clergy, interfaith clergy. These two women pictured here, Malala and Greta Thunberg, are amazing examples for us of compassionate courage. The love that they both exude to and for the world through their joyfully grounded activist and empowerment work is so important right now. This green frog hat has become part of Greta Thunberg's identity. She has knit those hats. Here in this photo, she knitted one for Malala. She also lost this hat on the Freedom Flotilla as she was going to Gaza to bring aid. And after she lost this hat, the Tunisians brought her hat after hat after hat of the green frog. So this green frog hat represents the joy and positivity that exists in the face of hate, oppression, violence, and death. This is why it is so important to not allow our childlike joy and love become clouded by hate and fear. Our love, compassion, and joy are the simple things that we can remind ourselves and others about. Our kids can remind us about these things too, right? So what are the most important things in our lives? The simple things. What can we be doing to ground ourselves in cultivating compassion and non-violence? We can remind ourselves that we are one and remind ourselves that we need to love each other. Really, it is that simple. We do not need to make it more complicated than it is. So today at 1 p.m. after the committee fair in the meditation room, you are invited to join me and John Ambrosiano in a compassion meditation session. And thank you, John, for agreeing to this at the last minute. I felt like it was a good practice for those who want to go deeper to transform themselves in the world. So I'm going to leave you with this quote by Joanna Macy, scholar of Buddhism and eco-philosopher who wrote the book Active Hope that we'll be doing a book group on November 1st. Compassion boils down to not being afraid of the suffering of your world or of yourself. It involves being open to what you're feeling about that suffering, grief, fear, rage, overwhelm, and brave enough to experience it. You can't heal something you're afraid to get near. Compassion is what impels you to act for the sake of the larger whole. Or put more accurately, it is the whole acting through you. So may we go out today practicing loving kindness for all, even our enemies. And now let us do this through our closing meditation song, the Metta Prayer. So we're going to start with this opening to the Metta Prayer and then the petitions, and then you will be invited to sing, may you, the second time, and may we, the third time. So let us enter into this Metta Prayer practice now. Metta is a Buddhist meditation practice. It is a concentration practice to cultivate unconditional goodwill for all. It is practiced by reciting and contemplating a series of aspirations or prayers that express your compassion and loving kindness toward yourself and others. With each recitation, you expand the scope of your loving kindness from yourself to those close to you, to those for whom you feel antipathy, and finally to all sentient beings. May I be safe and protected, free from inner and outer harm. May I be happy. May my body support the practice of loving awareness. May I be free from ill will, affliction, and anxiety. May I love myself as I am. May I be happy and free from suffering. May I find peace in an uncertain world. May I find ease on the middle path between attachment and apathy. Join singing now.
May you be safe and protected, free from inner and outer harm. May you be happy. May your body support the practice of loving awareness. May you be free from ill will, affliction, and anxiety. May you love yourself as you are. May you be happy and be free from suffering. May you find peace in an uncertain world. May you find ease in the middle path between attachment and apathy.
May we be safe and protected, free from inner and outer harm. May we be happy. May everyone's body support the practice of loving awareness. May we be free from ill will, affliction, and anxiety. May everyone love themselves as they are. May we be happy and free from suffering. May we find peace in an uncertain world. May we find ease on the middle path between attachment and apathy. We are one, and we must love each other. And let us go now in peace. And you are invited to stand and sing our closing song, The Way, and hold hands with your neighbor if you would like.